Have you ever been told to listen to yourself, but had no idea how to actually do that? Because for me, I didn't even know I had something within me to listen to. I didn't know there was a deeper part of me that I could actually connect to. Something within me that knew things before my mind did. I just lived my life making choices as I went based on what showed up. Not really thinking about it, not really going within. Just living the way I always had. And then everything started to change. When I began channeling and learning through the work that was coming through me, I started to realize something. There was something within me, a knowing, a connection, something that felt true. But it wasn't instant. I didn't just suddenly know everything or feel completely connected. It was a process, a long process of learning, understanding, and coming back to it again and again. Even when it was hard, even when I questioned things, or when I pushed it away for a time, I always came back. Because something in me knew this was right for me. And I think that's where listening to yourself really begins. Not necessarily with having all the answers, but with paying attention to what keeps calling you back. And this is where we begin to see Anna living this in Anna Levita. She's no longer just understanding herself. She's beginning to listen to herself. She's paying attention to what feels right, what doesn't, and what she knows to be true. She's no longer automatically allowing the world around her to decide those things for her. She's beginning to notice what's happening within her. And that's where it becomes real. There was a time when I would receive negative or hurtful comments online, and my first reaction was to react, to defend, to respond, to match that energy. But at the same time, I was being shown something different through the channel teachings I was learning, to pause and come back from a place of love. And at first that wasn't easy. It took time. But eventually something changed. I wasn't just learning a different way to respond. I was becoming someone who responded differently. Not reacting automatically, but choosing how I responded. And there were still moments when I didn't get it right. But right after, I knew, I could feel it immediately. I could have handled that differently. Not from judgment, but from awareness. And that's what this really is. It's not about perfection. It's about awareness. Because awareness is always the first step. I couldn't change something I wasn't even aware I was doing. But once I became aware, I could begin choosing differently, learning, adjusting, and becoming. Because listening to yourself can begin with something very simple. Pausing long enough to notice what's happening within you and asking, what feels true for me right now? How do I want to respond in this moment? Because every time you do that, you begin building a relationship with yourself. And little by little, the voice you've spent so much of your life looking outside yourself to find begins becoming one you recognize within yourself. Sometimes you don't get it right the first time or the second. That's part of learning. But the more you pay attention, the more you begin to recognize what feels true for you. Over time, that knowing within you becomes clear. You begin listening to it, trusting it, and eventually you begin living from it.